There was a company that Fortune magazine called most innovative for 6 years straight. Wall Street loved it. Investors worshipped it. The stock hit $90.75, and then, in 42 days, it went to 26 cents. Not because of a recession, not because of competition, because the entire thing was a lie. Welcome to Finance Untold, where we expose the financial truths they don't teach in business school. Today's truth? How Enron executives used accounting tricks so brilliant that even their own auditors could unexplain where the numbers came from. The empire built on nothing. Let's rewind to August 2000. Enron is on top of the world. Stock price, $90.56. Market cap, $60 billion. Fortune ranks its 7th largest company in America. Most innovative company 6 years running. Analysts can't stop praising it. Goldman Sachs is issuing buy ratings. But here's what nobody knew. The entire empire was built on accounting fiction. And 3 men orchestrated the greatest fraud in corporate history. Kenneth Latha, CEO who built the House of Cards. Jeffrey Skilling, the mastermind who invented the accounting tricks. And Andrew Fastow, the CFO who hid billions in debt using shell companies. These weren't rogue criminals. They were Ivy League graduates, respected executives, board members trusted by regulators. And they pulled off a scam so sophisticated that it changed corporate law forever. The magic trick. Mark-to-market accounting. Here's where it gets diabolical. In 1992, Enron convinced the SEC to let them use mark-to-market accounting for energy contracts. Sounds boring, right? It's not. It's financial alchemy. Here's how it works. Normally, if you sign a 20-year contract to sell energy, you record revenue as you earn it year by year. But mark-to-market accounting lets you book all future profits immediately. The day you sign the contract, Enron could sign a deal, project what they might earn over 20 years, and boom, instant revenue. Even if the project never made a penny. Example, in July 2000, Enron and Blockbuster signed a 20-year deal to deliver video on demand to U.S. cities. Enron immediately booked $110 million in projected profits. Analysts questioned whether the technology even worked. Didn't matter. The profit was already on the books. 8 months later, the deal collapsed. Total loss. But Enron still claimed it was profitable because the accounting said so. And this wasn't one deal. This was Enron's entire business model. They booked billions in future earnings from projects that either failed or never started. Their revenue was 95% overstated. The Raptors? Enron's secret weapon, but here's the problem with mark-to-market accounting. When your projections don't come true, you have to book losses. Massive losses. That would crash the stock price. So Enron created a solution, called them Special Purpose Entities, or SPEs, shell companies designed to hide debt and absorb losses. Enron created over 3,000 of these entities. 3,000. The most infamous. The Raptors. Named after the velociraptors in Jurassic Park, Enron transferred over $1.2 billion in assets to these 4 entities, including millions of shares of Enron stock. Here's the genius part. When Enron's investments lost value, they didn't record the loss on Enron's books. They recorded it in the Raptors. The Raptors technically owed Enron money through derivative contracts. But the Raptors were funded with Enron's own stock. So Enron was using its own inflated stock to guarantee its own fake profits. It was a circular Ponzi scheme hidden inside accounting complexity. And CFO Andrew Fastow, he personally managed some of these SPEs and made millions in fees. By 2000, the Raptors owed Enron over $500 million. But instead of recording losses, Enron used mark-to-market tricks to claim a $500 million gain. That gain accounted for nearly a third of Enron's reported earnings in 2000. It was financial voodoo. And somehow their auditor Arthur Andersen, one of the big 5 accounting firms, signed off on it. The whistleblower nobody listened to. Here's where the story gets infuriating. In August 2001, Sherron Watkins, a vice president at Enron, sent an anonymous memo to CEO Ken Lay. She wrote, "I am incredibly nervous that we will implode in a wave of accounting scandals." She detailed the shady SPED transactions. She warned that Fastow's partnerships violated basic ethics. She predicted the company would collapse. Lay's response: forwarded the memo to Enron's lawyers and their auditor, Arthur Andersen. They investigated and concluded everything's fine. 1 month later, Jeffrey Skilling, the CEO who designed this entire system, abruptly resigned, citing personal reasons. Insiders knew what was coming, and they started selling stock. Between August 2000 and August 2001, Enron executives sold hundreds of millions of dollars in stock, which, while telling employees and investors that everything was great, employees had their retirement savings in Enron stock, locked in their 401ks, unable to sell, while executives cashed out. October 16, 2001, Enron announces third quarter earnings, 43 cents per share. Sounds routine. But buried in the announcement is a $638 million loss and a $1.2 billion reduction in shareholder equity. Wall Street freaks out. Analysts start asking questions. The SEC begins investigating. And suddenly, the house of cards starts falling. Fastow is fired. Dynegy offers to buy Enron at a fire sale price, then backs out when they see the real books. Enron's stock drops below $1. Employees watch their retirement savings evaporate. On December 2, 2001, just 42 days after the earnings announcement, Enron files for bankruptcy. The seventh largest company in America, gone. $60 billion in market value, erased. Shareholders lost $74 billion. Employees lost their jobs and pensions. And Arthur Andersen, Enron's auditor and one of the most respected accounting firms in the world, was found guilty of obstructing justice for shredding Enron documents. Arthur Andersen collapsed. 85,000 people worldwide lost their jobs. Because they covered up one client's fraud. The aftermath. The Enron scandal changed everything. Congress passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002, the most significant corporate governance reform. Since the 1930s, it created strict penalties for destroying financial records, banned auditing firms from doing consulting for the same clients, required CEOs to personally certify financial statements. Kenneth Lay was convicted on fraud and conspiracy charges. He died before sentencing. Jeffrey Skilling got 24 years in prison. Andrew Fastow got 6 years after cooperating with prosecutors. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The accounting tricks Enron used weren't illegal at the time. Mark-to-market accounting, proved by the SEC's special purpose entities, allowed under existing rules. Round-trip trades to inflate revenue, technically permissible. Enron didn't break the law. They exploited loopholes. And when executives realized they could manipulate numbers without consequences, they went all in. The real lesson. So what's the lesson? It's not that fraud is bad, we all know that. The lesson is this. When incentives are misaligned, even brilliant people become criminals. Enron executives had stock options worth hundreds of millions. Their bonuses were tied to stock price. Their reputations depended on meeting Wall Street expectations. So they did whatever it took to keep the stock price up, even if it meant lying to everyone. Arthur Andersen was making more money from consulting fees than audit fees. So they looked the other way, because Enron was a cash cow client they couldn't afford to lose. Analysts kept issuing buy ratings because Enron was feeding them inside information and access. Regulators didn't investigate because Enron's books on paper followed the rules. Everyone had an incentive to believe the lie. And the lie almost worked. Enron proved something uncomfortable. Financial statements don't reveal truth. They reveal what companies want you to see. And if you don't ask the right questions, if you trust the numbers just because they're audited or vulnerable, even today, 23 years later, companies use complex structures, aggressive accounting, and financial engineering to make their numbers look better than reality. Enron didn't invent fraud, they just perfected it for the modern era. And the scary part? The tools they used, SPEs, mark-to-market, off-balance sheet entities, still exist, just under stricter rules. But rules can be gamed. And when billions are at stake, someone will always try. Hit LIKE if this opened your eyes. Subscribe to Finance Untold. We expose the financial frauds, scandals, and schemes they don't want you to know about. Turn on notifications because corporate fraud didn't die with Enron. It just got more sophisticated. Drop a comment. Which financial scandal should we cover next? Bernie Madoff. Long-term capital management? The 2008 crisis? It's like a forensic accountant. Learn to spot red flags before your investments implode. Enron executives thought they were smarter than everyone else. They were right until they weren't. Thanks for watching. Stay financially untold.